Hello students, this is the third part of video for chapter number 5. As we have learned in the last video about two women's story, we have understood how they went against the norms of the societies and the thoughts. They taught themselves like Rasundri Devi taught herself, and the Ramabai, she learned from her parents, and even though she has learned one of the language that is most probably learned by Brahmins, so she was being titled as Pandita as she has learned the Sanskrit language. So one more set of example we are having over here about woman. Her name is Rokaya Sakhawat Hussain, and her dream about Ladyland. Now, what was about her dream that is known as Ladyland? So she, Rokaya Sakhawat Hussain, she was born in 1880, 1932, and born in a rich family. She was having a lot of land. Though she knew how to read and write Urdu, she was stopped from learning Bangla and English because Urdu is related to their religion. It is necessary to learn that because they used to read out their holy books. So there is no certain kind of restriction to learn that language, but she was being stopped to learn the other languages such as Bangla and English. So in those days, English was seen as language that would expose girls to new ideas which people thought were not correct for them. It means she will move forward, or she will become extra forward if she is going to learn the English. So everyone, the people were stopping every girl to stop learning English, and mainly she was also asked not to learn English. Therefore, it was mostly boys who were taught English in that time. Rokaya learned to read and write Bangla and English with the support of her elder brother and elder sister. So she has learned, Rokaya Sakhawat Hussain has learned English and Bangla with the support of her elder brother and sister. She went on to become a writer, as Rasundri Devi was also a writer. She wrote a remarkable story titled Sultana's Dream in 1905 to practice her English skill when she was merely 25 years old. So as she has learned already the English and Bangla, so whether she have learned or and even to practice the English language in better way, she started writing the book, and that was known as Sultana's Dream. This story imagined a woman called as Sultana who reaches a palace called that is Ladyland. Ladyland is a place where women had the freedom to study, work and create inventions like controlling rain from the clouds and flying air cars. In this Ladyland, the men had been sent into selection, their aggressive guns and other weapons of war defeated by the brain power of women. As Sultana traveled in Ladyland with sister Sarah. She awakes to realize that she was only dreaming. So what she has written in her book, that was all about her dream when she has dreamt. So here she was in land that is called as Ladyland. She reached up to that particular place, and the woman was known as Sultana. So in Urdu, the Sultana means the queen, the Raja over here. So she was being considered herself as an Raja, a woman that is called as Sultana. And here what they were able to do, they were free to study, they were having every freedom, they can even create their inventions also, even they can control the rain from the clouds. So and even flying the air cars, like pilots are always seen as male only. So here whatever the thing was not being done by the women in the society, she was dreaming about the same thing doing in that place that is given name by her, that is known as Ladyland. Even here the men were being defeated. The men were having the weapons, the aggressive guns and other weapons to war, but they were defeating the men by what? The women were not having any kind of a gun or any kind of weapon, but they were having the brain power weapon. They were using the weapon that was brain power. So by that they are defeating the men. And while she was dreaming, she was being awakened by her sister, and then only she came to know that she was dreaming. But the same thing, for the current situation also, we can just compare this book with, if we try to compare it, because in present scenario also we cannot stop anyone their thought, whatever they are thinking. Even if they are ask us to stop somewhere, or the women's to somewhere, not to study or anything, but where we can defeat this society, the stereotype thought of the people, what they think about the woman, that is only by the brain power. So we have to reach, or the women have to get up to that level where by the brain only they can give away the answer to the stereotypes, to the thought what they have taken it from past and still they are following, that could be stopped by the brain power itself. This is the same thing is being dreamt by the Rokeya Hussain. As you can see, Rokeya Sakhawat Hussain was dreaming of a woman flying planes and cars even before girls were being allowed to go to school. So here she was not even allowed to go school, but she was dreaming about flying planes and cars. This was the way in which the education and learning had changed Rokeya On's life. Rokeya did not stop at getting education just for herself. Her education gave her the power not only to dream and write, but also to do more, to help other girls go to school and to build their own dream. So in 1910 she started a school for girls in Kolkata, and to this the school is still functioning. So her dream was not stopped up to that dream only. What she has done, she educated herself also, and even she educated the other girls also. As she was owning land, by 1910 she started a school for girls, mainly in Kolkata. So here the girls are allowed to educate themselves, and this firm is working still. So these are the few examples how they have studied and how they helped out other girls also to get educated. So till here we have completed about the Rasundari Devi, and that was the only thing that left, Rokeya Hussain's example. So I have covered in this video. Now the next topic what we are going to read is schooling and education today. Today both boys and girls attend school in large number, yet as we will see, there still remains difference between the education of boys and girls. India has a census every 10 years, which counts the whole population of the country. It also gathers detailed information about the people living in India, their age, schooling, what work they do, and so on. We use this information to measure many things like the number of literate people and the ratio of men and women. According to the 1961 census, about 40% of all boys and men, that is 7-year-old and above, that is the age when the census counting was being taken, were literate, that is they could at least write their name, compared to just 15% of girls and women. In the most recent census of 2011, these figures have grown to 82% for boys and men and 65% for girls and women. So this means that the proportion of both men and women who are now able to read and have at least some amount of schooling has increased. But as you can also see, the percentage of male group is still higher than the female group. The gap has not gone away. Here is the table that shows the percentage of girls and boys who leave school from different social groups, including scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. So that the table we will know, just look after later. So schooling today, as you can see, today both boys and girls are going, the number of genders are going to school, both the genders, but still the differences remain the same from past to present. In past there was not at all chance to educate themselves, mainly for the girls, but for the men it was from the past itself. They can educate themselves. Current situation in our country, India is always having a census counting in every 10 years where the population is being counted. It means both the gender. Now when they are collecting the detailed information about the people living in India, so everything is being information was being taken, like how many family members are there, and what number of boys and what number girls are present in one family, who are working, who are not working, who are going to school, the not going school childrens, and the elders in the family, then the death or the birth ratio, everything is being counted in the census counting. But here we are only talking about the education, so we are going to only look after that data about the educations, how many are going to school or how many are not from the children. So that only that data we are going to look after in this. So when they collected the information, they came to know that illiterate people, the ratio of illiterate or literate people, they are collecting that ratio. And according to the 1961 census, 40% of boys and men, that is 7 years or above 7 years, they were literate, compared to the women. So their percentage was up to 15%. So you can see over a gap over here, where the men or the boys ratio was about 40% who can read and write, and even they can write their name. But the ratio of the women, when it compared with the girls and the women, it was only about 50%. Sorry, 15%, not 50%. In most recent, that is census of 2011, again they figure out the ratio, how many are literate and how many are illiterate. So here 82% of boys and men were literate, whereas 65% of girls and women were literate. Compared to 1961 census counting, this ratio increased. You can say positive thing over here. It means the proportion is got increasing. But again, if we just look into the particular year, that is 2011, and if we compare boys and girls, still the ratio of boys is higher, that is 82%, and the ratio of girls who are literate, it is 65%. It means still there is a gap, proportion gap between both the gender. It means the problem which is being faced in the past, still it is being faced in the present also. But compared to the 1961 census, we can say schooling has increased for the girls and the women, but still this ratio has to be stable, or somewhat this much of difference should not be there. So here is a table that is from the different social group, including the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, the percentage of boys and girls which are going to school. So average annual dropout rate school education, that is 2014 to 15. This is the report of 2014 to 15. The dropout of the children from the school, how many are dropping out, mainly boys and girls we are talking about. So level, there are 3 levels: primary, upper primary, that is 6 to 8, primary is 1 to 5, and secondary, that is 9 to 10. So all boys, here boys and the girls, and total dropouts SC and ST is already given. So here comparing the all, means all the community, and especially here they are talking about 2 castes, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. Generally they are not getting the opportunity as they are living in the poor conditions. So what percentage of children are going to school, and when they are dropping out, or in what age or in what class they are dropping out from the school, that is the ratio given over here. So in the first, in the all category, you can see 4.630 is 4.36%, they are dropping out from 1 to 5, then 3.49 in 6 to 8, and 17.21 in class 9 to 10. Then in girls ratio, that is 3.88, then 4.60 in 6 to 8, and 9 to 10 16.8. SC, you can see both the comparison, 4.71 in 1 to 5 and 4.20 in girls. Then 6 to 8 from the SC group, that is 5.00% and 6.3% in SC group. Then 19.64% in boys and 9.05% from 9 to 10, they are dropping out. ST, boys and girls total, you can see over here. Boys from ST, that is scheduled tribe, 7.02 they drop out. Then girls 6.84% they drop out. 8.48 from 6 to 8 standard they are dropping out from the school. Then in girls section you can see 8.71. And the last category, that is from 9 to 10, that is 24.94%, and for girls 24.40%. So mainly you can see most probably the dropout is between the 9 to 10th classes, and even from the primary also. You have probably noticed in the above table that SC and ST girls leave school at a rate that is higher than the category of all girls. You have to compare the table. This means the girls who are from Dalit, mainly SC, and Adivasi, that is ST backgrounds, are lessly likely to remain in school. The 2011 census also found that Muslim girls are less likely than SC ST girls to complete primary school. While a Muslim girl is likely to stay in school for around 3 years, girls from other communities spend around 4 years in school. So in the primary section itself, the girls are moving out or dropping out from the school. And here we are also talking about the Muslim girls who are also dropping out from the primary section itself, as they are not allowed to learn the other languages also. Mainly they are taught the Urdu language, that is mainly necessary, as in the previous video also I have informed that they have to read out their holy book, and that is mainly written in Urdu. So to learn Urdu is very much important compared to the other subjects, and the aim of the woman is to just get married and to look after the family. So they are not just encouraged to study. So if we talk about the Muslim girls, so at the age of 3 only they are moving out, and other community girls are dropping out at the age of 4 years. There are several reasons why children from Dalit, Adivasi and Muslim community leave school. In many parts of the country, especially in the rural and poor area, there are many not even be proper schools, nor teachers who teach on regular basis. So this was the one reason. For Muslim girls, as I said, Urdu is the one reason, and commonly one reason what they face is the proper school was not available, and even the teachers were not available on regular basis to teach them. This is the one reason. Then if a school is not close to the people's home and there is no transport like buses or van, parents may not be willing to send their girls to school. This is the second reason, because of the school is very far away, and even they were not having transport facilities. Because of the same, the parents are not preferring to send their girl child to the school. So this is the second reason, as they are not preferring to send their girls to the faraway places, as the transportation facility is not available, or they have to travel by using this vehicle to the faraway places. Many families are too poor and unable to bear the cost of educating all their child. So even if they are having two or three child, then they are only able to just bear the cost of education for one child, so the other two are not sent to the school. So this was the third reason. Boys may get preference in this situation, like as I said, that if there is three children, then one boy and two girls, then most probably they prefer boy to educate more compared to the girls. So here also the girls has to face the problem, they are not getting the opportunity or chance to educate themselves for many reasons. Now many children also leave school because they are discriminated against by their teachers and classmates, just like Om Prakash Valmiki was, that we have learned that as he was discriminated, and because of this discrimination, uh, sometimes they are being teased, sometimes they are being bullied by the teachers and even by the classmates. So they do not prefer to go to school, they leave the school at early ages. The same thing what was being faced by the Om Prakash Valmiki. So here you can see the boys and girls in percentages. All boys, 4.36 percentage of boys are going to school, and ST boys, most probably 7.2 persons are leaving the school. So the percentage is more in ST, as they are facing the teasing, the bullying, and even they are discriminated, so they are dropping out from the school. Here you can see the logo over here, that is Beti Bachao Beti Padhao. This was being started by the government, the campaign that was launched in 2014, as there was a urge from the women and girls and even by the society that girls should be educated and girls should be protected, as many in many of the community the girl are being killed. Mainly we can talk about the Rajasthan, like the first child always they are preferring the male child only. If they are not born, the first child is girl, then there is tradition, a ritual, that they are making her a doodh piti. It means in the bowl of, that is mainly the big bowl of milk, they are they are putting the girl child in the vessel that is full of milk. So here the prayer is done that next birth in the family would be of the boy child only. So there are many kind of rituals, such kind of ritual that is followed in such kind of communities. So here the preference were given by the government that the beti should be protected, and even the girl child should be educated. So many schemes and many kind of programs were being launched to protect the girl child. Even the government were giving away the loan or one set of deposited amount when the girl child is taking birth in any of the family, and this money which is being given by the government, its ratio would be different from place to place. So there are certain kind of schemes which was being presented by or launched by the government. So till here we have completed. So complete the worksheet up to this topic, women's movement, that we are going to learn in the next video. Stay tuned. Thank you.